By the action trap of understanding, we mean the belief that if people understand what we want or expect, then they will do what we want or expect. I think I think one of the things that becomes critical around the understanding conversation is in what way is this understanding necessary for what is out to be accomplished. So the question she's asking, that's a really valid kind of thing. How did they calculate that? Geez, I don't know. That's really interesting. That's an interesting question. I'm not going to address that now because I don't know.
But you could.
But you could, and if you really wanted to do that, and I just brought that up because of this, but it's really not germane. So you actually now become cognizant of why are you bringing some of this stuff up. Mm-hmm. We introduce a whole bunch of things in the assumption that if people, I'd like you to consider you are addicted to the proposition. If they understand, they will do.
Part-time staff, like, do you understand? And they say yes, but then you don't see any improvement.
But there's no request in that.
Right. Correct. So it's like, you've been, you've shown up late the last, 3 times in the last 2 weeks, I give the action steps, and they're taking the understanding, but they're not taking the action steps.
No, there'd have to be a request for the action steps.
Correct. So that just kind of made me think about, I think I can get the understanding apart, but I need to now focus more on the action.
But that's why I want it. I'm inviting you to look from the standpoint that, I really do believe that if I tell them here are the action steps, and they say, oh, I got it, they're going to now go do those action steps. You all know how to lose weight and be physically fit, and we don't do it.
Yeah, so it's better. We need emotional comfort now.
The knowing is insufficient. The understanding is insufficient. It's very clear to us people do not do what they know to do, even when it's in their best interest to do it.
So I think my thing, I don't know, kind of in relation maybe to staff, and I apologize I'm taking this home with me, but with my 4.5-year-old, I know that there are lots of things that he does understand, but again, just because he understands that he has to take a bath and has to do this, has to do that, doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to do it.
No.
Even though he doesn't want to be dirty at school, or he doesn't want, to, wet the bed if he doesn't get up to go potty or whatever. But what I'd be interested to know, and some of this comes from our education classes and some of it doesn't, is, rather than, going for the initiative and understanding that now he understands and now we can make this happen, but how do we make the understanding make them want to do it?
You can't.
I want that.
I understand. I think that's the trap. See, the trap is that now they understand it. Now how do I convince them to get to do? You don't. You ask them.
Yeah.
It's a request.
And then hopefully by them understanding, when you ask them, that they will, and if they don't, it's possible that they don't fully understand.
That's also the trap.
Okay.
See, there are certain things. You cannot sum a set of numbers if you don't know addition. Mm-hmm. So understanding addition is necessary condition before you can sum the numbers. Okay, mm-hmm. That your son understand body hygiene,
right.
as example, is not necessary for taking a bath.
Right. That's true.
It might be nice that he understood that, and he will eventually learn that,
right.
And it will fit into his way of living, however it fits in. Mm-hmm. But we operate on the sort of along that all understanding is necessary for action. It's not. It's our preference that they understand, and then if they understand, they should. That's the shoulds, the musts, the oughts. The no. And if you begin to see that in some cases the understanding is necessary, that is required in order to be able to take the action. In other cases, it's just a preference on we think they should or they ought to, but you can get people to do all kinds of stuff they don't understand.
And that maybe they may be more likely to do it if they understand, but it doesn't mean they're going to.
Yeah, and there's a whole body of psychologists who tell you that if you want people to change their thinking, get them to change how they act. Well, now it's interesting, because how do you get them to change act? You make a request, or you put them in a circumstance that calls for a different set of actions, and then they realize, oh, I could do it differently. And their thinking begins to change. Thinking is one of the last things to change around behavior. Behavior will change long in advance of thinking. So, but the thinking in our culture, in the Western, as one. The idea that you've got to somehow get people to understand, which is all that category of understanding their attitudes, all that stuff. No, it's the problem we confront. I mean, you're all in education in a way, and directly more so than other. But it's the problem. You know, I bring somebody in like Emily to an MBA program, and she gets it conceptually. Doesn't mean she can do squat.
They all know that.
But if you then ask them, tell me the theory of motivation, and she can say, oh, well, it's this and this and this and this, so they understand, but there's no action that's associated with it. So the link between action and understanding comes in linking action to understanding. It doesn't come from understanding, hoping then that action will get linked.
If they don't understand it, you can still request performance.
Yes, in those cases where there's no relationship between what the understanding is, but in a project where there are interdependencies and relationships and things have to be done in a sequence, and this has to go before that, they do have to get that's kind of planning and who's going to do it. Or you'll have, as in the military, you'll have the infantry going through an area that the artillery is shelling at the time, and that's a problem.
I'm encountering, and just did in a conversation in a meeting, was denial. Well, I just don't believe that that's true.
Yes.
I cannot possibly believe that information you're bringing me is true. And it kind of does stop a conversation in its tracks when somebody denies that your source of information is valid. It so shocks their experience that they just can't believe it.
Yeah. Now, the thing that you would now want to begin to ask is, I got it, you don't believe it. Okay. Now, would you go do this?
And the go do this is?
Whatever the request is. See, the thing is, we sometimes think that I can't make the request until they understand something. So I have to give them all this stuff, and they say, well, I don't agree with that data source. Oh, and now it's like, okay, I now got to convince you that my data is valid before you'll go do anything. Nah, here's my request.
Well, and that's interesting too, because there wasn't even a request, really.
Yeah. You're just telling them the data, and they don't agree with the data.
And I did say, Michael can confirm that, I understand that you're skeptical. Would you like the water coolers cleaned anyway every 6 months, even if you're skeptical about
Yeah, but that's just going to the request. Yeah, that's just going right to the request. Exactly. I got it. You're skeptical. You don't agree with the data. Very good. Would you like us to clean the coolers anyway?
Should we not clean the coolers because you're skeptical?
Right. So are you saying you deny the data? So are you asking us not to clean the water coolers? Oh, no, we want you to clean the water coolers. Okay, great.